4 na.
Good morning, I am Ardisho F. Gumaya from BSN Mathematics School. Good morning, class. May I request Mr. John to lead a prayer? Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Good morning once again. So, before you take your seat, can you please pick up some pieces of paper and then arrange your chairs? Thank you. Please take your seat. So, how are you today, class? Very good. So, before we start, I will check your attendance first. Who are the absents today? Very good. All of you are present. So before we start, can we please read our classroom rules for today's discussion? Okay, very good. Can I expect that from you, class? Thank you. So, who can recall our last topic yesterday? Okay, yes. Very good. It's all about quadrilaterals. So as a review for you, so I prepared a short review about quadrilaterals. So the directions, you need to identify what type of quadrilateral is present in the pictures. Okay, first picture. So what type of quadrilateral is this? Yes, very good. It's a square. Next, what type of quadrilateral is in the picture? Yes, very good. It's a rhombus. Next picture. Yes, very good. It's a rectangle. And for our last quadrilaterals, what type of quadrilateral is this? Yes, very good. It's a trapezoid. So, since you already mastered the different types of quadrilaterals, we can now proceed to our discussion. But first, I have a prepared activity for you. So, the title of our activity is which is which. So, the directions, identify whether the following quadrilaterals are parallelograms or not. So we're going to put a mark check under the appropriate column. So I will give you 2 minutes to answer the table. Okay, very good, class. So you're going to keep that because we're going to check that later. So, I have another activity here, which is the group activity. Please read. Okay, very good. For our activity, group activity, I will provide a rubrics for you. So, this will be our rubrics based on our group activity. Next, we can proceed to our group activity this morning. So, I will read the procedures. So, each group will measure a parallelogram based on the shape given by me, teacher. So, I will group you into 4 groups. This will be the group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. So, for the group 1, you will be the group obey. Then, you will draw a parallelogram. So, for the group 2, is the group gate. Then you will draw a rectangle. Then for the group 3 is the group care, which is the rhombus. Then for the last group, the group 4, you will be the group of love. Then you will draw a square. So you will need to do is to measure the angles on the side of each quadrilaterals. Then you're going to record that in this table. I will give you 10 minutes to answer or complete the table. Okay, very good. You already done the table in a given time. So I have a question, class. What did you observe, or how will you describe every opposite sides and opposite angle of you measure earlier? Yes, very good. Based on your observation, you observe that all of the opposite sides and opposite angle of the quadrilateral is equal or congruent. So that's a very good observation, class. So we can proceed now to our discussion, which is the parallelogram. Our discussion for today is all about parallelogram. So parallelogram is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides parallel. So based on your drawings and your measurements earlier, you said that all of opposite angles and opposite sides of the quadrilateral is equal or congruent. So that is considered as a parallelogram. So ang parallelogram is have a different properties. So property number 1, in a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel and congruent. So based on your group activity earlier, then nag-coincide siya sa inyong findings. So in property number 1, if AD, line segment AD is always congruent to BC. So if ang AD is, line segment AD is 127, then also the line segment BC is also 127 units. So same with line segment AB and then line segment BC. That's for property number 1. So property number 2, in a parallelogram, any opposite angles are congruent. So dili lang ang sides ang equals, but also the angles, opposite angles. So if angle A is 97 degrees, also angle C, which is the opposite side, opposite angle of A, is also 97 degrees. So that will be the property number 2. So property number 3, in a parallelogram, any consecutive angles are supplementary. So in property number 3, the property said that any consecutive angles are supplementary. So if we add angle A and angle B, the result is always 180 or supplementary. Same with angle B and angle C, angle C and angle D. So that's for property number 3. So property number 4. The diagonals of parallelogram bisect each other. So if we put a line between A to C and B to B, they always bisect each other. If A is line segment A to E is always equal to E to C. Same with B to E is always equal to E to D. That's for property number 4. So for property number 5, or the last property of the parallelogram, each diagonal of parallelogram forms two congruent triangles. So, if you look in this part, ito nga ang parallelogram. So, if each diagonal of the parallelogram forms a triangle, so they're always congruent or equal to each other. So that's for the properties number 5. So that's all the properties of parallelogram. So now we can proceed to our another group activity. So you already know the different properties of a parallelogram. Now, I have a given problem here. So, by group yapon siya, then you will going to solve the missing parts of a quadrilateral based on the picture or figure. I will give you 5 minutes to answer. Okay, very good. All of you got correct answer. So to further analyze if you already understand our topic for today, so I have an individual activity for you. So try to answer these problems. In 1/4 sheet of paper, please answer this, and I will give you 2 minutes to answer this problem. Okay, very good. So now we're going to check your paper. So for number 1, each to k is equal or congruent to PL. So that's the answer for number 1. So number 2, h to p is always congruent to p to l. So that's for number 2. So for number 3, if angle h is 95, also the angle L is also 95 degrees. Then if angle P is 98 degrees, also the K is 98 degrees. So if a measure of h to K is equal to 10 cm, then P to L is always 10 cm because they are congruent to each other. Now, who got the perfect score? Very good. All of you got a perfect score. So for our assignment, solve the problem and show your solution. So based on the figure, you are going to measure the sides of parallelogram solved in meters. So that's your assignment. Okay, class, since we are already done, the assignment I give to you will pass tomorrow. So goodbye and thank you, class. Goods na.
Goods bitaw mo, 14 minutes ra.
Ako'y labot ako. Basta ko na kay sir. Di, manak kinanglan nga. Taas good. Din naman yung sir. Sir, tanawa ang monovlog sa uban, sir. Fight na eh.